This past election cycle proved how much the state's electorate has changed and highlighted the influence minority voters has had on the outcome. New census data shows Georgia is becoming more diverse while the white population is shrinking. Paula Suro breaks down how the Latino community has reached a milestone when it comes to Georgia's electorate.
That's me.
It's the first census Andres Parra and his family participate in after 14 years in Georgia.
So happy to kind of be a part, especially in such a momentous and historic year. Georgia really, grabbed the nation's attention.
They're part of the state's growth highlighted in the 2020 census. Georgia grew by more than 10%, and the Hispanic community grew by more than 31% in the past decade.
When I saw these numbers, I was hoping that they were going to be bigger. We had a really tough hill to climb to get folks to participate in the census.
Those numbers likely an undercount due to the pandemic and the Trump administration's fight to include a citizenship question to the form. The Supreme Court eventually blocked that from happening.
Undercounting communities is a significant problem. Traffic increases. We don't have enough public transit options. We have our kids going to school in trailers rather than actual classrooms.
Jerry Gonzalez, CEO of civic engagement group Galeo, says this growth is important when redrawing congressional lines.
A lot of our communities are hurting because of the pandemic. Communities of color in particular need to make sure that the adequate resources reach them as well.
The last election cycle was an early indication of the minority growth in the state, where the Latino electorate grew by over 141,000 new voters since 2016.
That was a 58% growth rate since the last presidential election. Georgia will be a majority minority state within a few years.
Parra was one of those new voters.
I'm excited that my community is starting to make sure their voice is heard.
Our Voices for Equality initiative empowers and highlights diverse voices in our community. You can find much more on 11alive.com/voices.